Hello and welcome to the Friendship News Hour. Today is May the 5th, 2021, Cinco de Mayo. I think this is the day that we celebrate Mexican daylight savings or something. I'm joined by Alex Kenzie.
Hello.
And a lot of news to get to today. But before we get to the news, I will introduce to you a very special guest, Mr. Patrick Davison.
Hello.
Hey, Pat. How you doing, pal? Hey, it's my understanding that you're here to take off your shirt and fat shame us all the whole time.
Ah.
That's all right. We got a while, man.
In due time.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you for being a friend to come on to the Friendship News Hour.
And as always,
appreciate it.
That is the voice of Alex Kenzie.
Hello.
Hi, Al. How are you?
I'm very good, man. Very, very good. Just kind of hanging out today. Nice. It's been a very lazy day. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Cool. Well, I worked.
Yeah, it's a Wednesday. It's hump day. It's just one of those days.
Yeah. Certainly not a slow day in news.
Not at all. You see what's going on with Trump and Facebook?
Yeah, I did. I saw that Mr. Zuckerberg flexing his big old muscles.
Yeah.
Hey, do you know that ban that they? So of course we're talking about the Facebook ban being upheld for Donald Trump. You know that it was his decision. It was just him.
Zuckerberg,
yeah.
Wow.
I just learned that today. It was just him.
Hmm.
That's come out from a couple different sources within Facebook that it was his decision and only his to pull the plug.
I mean, I don't know how it works over there, but it sounds like he's running the ship. So, because he has the ability to make that call. But yeah. So yesterday they indefinitely suspended. In January, right after the attacks, they indefinitely suspended all of his accounts after a mob of his supporters stormed the U.S. Capitol, and the claim for all the platforms is saying that he used his accounts to incite violent insurrection. And yeah, like I said, like Twitter also did this. They actually banned him for good. They came out and said that they're banning him for good. Facebook never really clarified what it was. So what Facebook had done just earlier, I think it was last year, they created the oversight board to review the hardest calls on a lot of the stuff that is posted there and who makes that final call. And I guess the board it's made up. It's funded by them through $130 million trust, but it's made up of 20 experts from around the world that are specialists in law, human rights. There's a Nobel Peace winner, vice president of, I think it was, the Cato Institute, the former prime minister of Denmark, and there's a bunch of journalists. So probably somewhat knowledgeable people in a lot of different things. So hopefully they're making the right calls, but so they decided that they are able to, today that they ruled they are going to keep the ban going for Trump on Facebook. But they also said, no. So what they said is that they continue to ban President Trump, but that it has 6 months to either restore his account, make his suspension permanent, like Twitter did, or suspend him for a specific period of time. It can't just keep being in limbo.
So he's gone for good.
Most likely, I would think so.
All right. What other outcome would there be? Why would you hold this? Why would you bring this community together, and they go ahead and give Zuckerberg a round of applause and say, "Yeah, good job. You did the right thing in banning him," and to not do it forever.
It makes me wonder though, why haven't they made that call yet then? If that's how, if Zuckerberg really feels that way, because in the past, he's always said the company shouldn't be the arbiter of truth, and he kind of has taken a hands-off approach with it, but it just seems since the last administration shit got way crazier. So I feel they just started having more and more of misinformation spreading according to them, and they just felt like they had to step in. But I'm just surprised they haven't made a hard choice on this yet.
Yeah, and regardless of the fact of if they want to be the arbiter of truth or not, at this time they are monitoring their platform as a sovereign entity, right? They're not influenced by any government action at all. So they have to make the call. And he's making the call that, one, we were going to go ahead and ban the president, take the president off of our platform, and then permanently instate that action. I mean, I don't know, whatever your thoughts may be on the previous president, the impact of that decision is giant.
Mm-hmm.
And you could make the argument that they're a private company and they can do whatever they want. And that is also true. But what it signifies when you have all of the most powerful communication networks that we have all come together and they ban Donald Trump. And the one thing that really irked me about this decision is that what they used as the nail in the coffin, the one thing that they wanted to point to say that they were justified in their decision to ban Donald Trump, is the video that he made while it was about an hour, 2 hours into people storming the Capitol. He made a video and he said a lot of, hey, I feel you. I know what you're going through. They stole this election from us and it wasn't right. And I know how you feel. But in the same breath, he said, we can't stoop to their level. You need to go home. You need to go home in peace. We do not want any violence. We do not want anybody being harmed because of how you feel. You need to make your voice loud, but go home and go home in peace. That was his message. And they pointed to that as behavior that was conducive or condoning to current or ongoing violence. Which, I mean, if you want to infer that, you pick through the weeds and that's what you want to come out of, fine. There's a lot of violence going on last summer, and there's a lot of very important people going on using these platforms to say that they were in favor of a bunch of riots for one cause that wasn't this. And that's very frustrating to a lot of people. And I think the hypocrisy in that is, I don't know how you can read between the lines in that. How can you make heads or tails of that decision based on what they decided, yet you very clearly allowed for something else that violated those very same rules to slide by unpunished?
Yeah, the only thing I would say, like, with that whole thing is like, I feel like him at that time, and I'm indifferent on that guy. There's things I liked about him. There's things I didn't like about him. At the time though, like when this is all going on, you're using your platform to spread misinformation to a lot of people that are like really fired up about the election. Like, he keeps saying that the election was stolen and the election was stolen. He's gone to court with all of these cases and lost every single one. So it's like he has no tangible proof. So like he was spreading like major misinformation that affects like our democracy at a core and like puts our election at doubt. So like, I'm not justifying what they did because I very much believe in free speech, but I can see like I don't think that video necessarily was like all peaceful. I think he knows what he's doing, bro. He's not stupid, or the people that work for him aren't stupid. He's saying the peaceful thing for sure. Like, I don't think he like wants to see shit, go crazy like that. But at the same time, like, he wants his group of people, the American people, fired up. That portion of the American people fired up because they think the election was stolen, and it wasn't stolen. There's zero proof of that. That yes, there could have been some weird voting things, not enough that would have swung this election. No way.
Yeah, I think his behavior is unquestionably reckless, and he certainly didn't do a good job of cultivating his feelings to anything productive. It was very much, hellfire and, dire right now. This needs to happen right now. They're stealing this election from you. They're taking away what it means to be an American. And yeah, man, that's certainly reckless talk, 100%. But at the same time, while that is true, it's also true that there is a concerted effort to silence the president of the United States while he was sitting president. And I don't know, man, that sort of action just doesn't sit well with me. I don't think anybody should be able to make those decisions while we continue to believe that there's free speech in this country. It just doesn't jive with me. And I think it's as egregious of a move, really, especially to continue to set the precedent. And, if, let's say, for example, this guy runs again in whenever the next election is 24 and he wins. I mean, do you keep that going?
What do you mean?
And my hope is that it's not more public, it's not more routinely used when it's a very political thing.
Sure. Yeah. I'm in full support of free speech, man. I just don't think that all I was really trying to say is I don't think he was as innocent as he tried to portray himself, or as rude.
And he never was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, he never was. He certainly a reckless person with the voice that he was given.
And a poor loser.
Terrible loser. Well, he never lost. See, that's why he's not a poor loser. He never lost.
Yeah.
I agree. He should never have been banned, but without any real proof, what was he trying to achieve by, like you said, like during that video of while they were doing at the Capitol, what was he trying to achieve by telling everybody that it was stolen if he had no real proof?
I mean, I don't know. If you watch the guy routinely, you know that whenever he is making a statement, he doesn't not throw a jab. So for me, it was like, well, that's just more or less that guy being that guy. I don't make excuses for him. It wasn't right. It would certainly didn't help the cause to make incendiary comments while you're also trying to tell people to calm down. But for me, it's like, well, who he is. He's petty, and everything he does. Why would you expect him to be different this time?
But just like we harp on like a network like a CNN who spreads misinformation all the time, like, and that's like Trump's thing, is that like the media and this is all bullshit and it's against them, and he's partly right. Like, they go after the dude for sure. There's proof of it now with CNN, but he's doing the exact same thing. Like, he's stooping to their level and playing that exact same game when he's saying that this election was stolen from him, because it was not stolen from him. He lost fair and square. Yeah, it's true that voting from home made it easier for a lot more people to vote, but as a result of that, he lost, and that's democracy. That is what it's based on. And
sure, I don't think it takes a real deep dive to know that it's just it is an egomaniacal person who has truly convinced themselves that they were taken. This election was taken from them, and that to me, it's like, that is obvious, right? That is what is going on there. But you're right. I mean, there are and were plenty of people who were fired up enough to think that, that they were capable of whatever the hell they thought they were capable of. I don't know, man. To me, it was just a bunch of knuckleheads who didn't know what they were going to do once they got past the gates. But yeah, man.
I still know people today, though, that believe the election was stolen because of the shit that he's saying. No, it's like, I may or may not be related to some of them.
Yeah, for sure.
For
sure, man.
Out
there exists a giant community of people, who believe it. But at the end of the day, I think there needs to be a little bit more of a tolerance for kind of what we know, and not jumping to make these giant decisions without really knowing what the consequences of them are going to be.
Sure.
So we'll see. I don't know if you heard, but there's a out of control 21-ton Chinese rocket falling straight down to Earth, and nobody knows where it's going to land.
Damn, I heard a loose story of that, but hit me with the details.
Well, so China launched it's called the Long March 5B rocket. I don't know what that means. They launched it last Thursday, and it's predicted to crash back into Earth within the next few days. And the estimates are that it could land anywhere from a little farther than New York, Madrid, Beijing, and as far south as Chile and New Zealand. So like literally the whole globe.
Head on a swivel.
And there's people asking the questions, how do we know that it's coming to Earth? And how come we can't know where it's going to land? And that's because it's just hurling around Earth's orbit. And it's the reality of the situation is that when you lose the control of debris like this, like really the problem is unsolvable. And so China's lost this debris, and it was just never controlled once it was put into orbit. So the issue is that they have an uncontrollable piece of debris, and because the atmosphere really does change in space, it's just hard to predict where it's going to hit.
I'm surprised it wouldn't burn up in atmosphere. I feel like spaceship would be designed to do so.
Well, I mean, yeah, but if it's engineered to withhold the exit of Earth's atmosphere into space,
yeah, right.
I mean, it'd probably be. I don't know. I know nothing about any of this stuff, but
So was it an accident, or did they just planned on like, we're gonna shoot it up, and when it comes down wherever it is where it is? Was it a mistake?
It looks like here it was a mistake, like it was a screw up. Like I think the reason that we're telling the story is because this doesn't happen all of the time, and China is outright saying like, "Hey, we're not responsible for the fallout of this."
What?
I guess the United States back in the 70s had a similar occurrence, and it landed like in the back country of Australia, and they had to clean it up, and we didn't help them out. So I guess we set the precedent. I don't know, but they're basically saying wherever it lands, you guys are responsible for what happens.
Wow. Must be some treaty, some space treaty thing from like the 70s or 60s or something.
It's like international space or whatever. And
yeah. Huh. Wild, man.
That's pretty wild, man. Yeah. Wouldn't that be a cool thing to see? I mean, God forbid it kills a bunch of people, but
yeah.
Wouldn't that
as long as you're far enough away from it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Seriously, that would be cool. So I guess it's 21 tons and about the size of a school bus, just coming straight down onto Earth.
So it's probably stupid, but if you could predict close enough to when it was going to enter our orbit, could you shoot a rocket at it and make it blow up into a bunch of little pieces and then possibly disintegrate by the time it hit Earth?
Yeah.
All the little pieces.
I say we try.
Or go up.
Spray shrapnel all over friggin' Milan, Italy.
That's better than a
Can you imagine? It's like we just try to save people from getting hit by a friggin' space junk, and we just like end up killing a bunch more people.
This one we need the aliens to come out and be like, all right, we've been here the whole time. We got you guys. We'll defend you. Don't worry.
Hilarious. Speaking of aliens, did you listen to the newest Joe Rogan podcast, or one of the newest ones with there's a guy talking about aliens again.
Oh yeah? What's he saying?
Just that he worked high up in like US security and in the Pentagon, and he had an interest of it when he was a kid and slowly like began investigating it. I don't know. I haven't gotten much farther into it, but
I'll check it out.
But yeah.
Aren't we supposed to figure out everything about aliens this year?
Is that what's going on?
I thought that was part of some bill or something in Congress that they were like,
they're going to release some data.
They got to release all the information by the end of this year at some point.
That was part of the COVID relief bill. It was that I think it's coming up, or it's got to be coming up. It's like 180 days from when that bill passed. They had to release all information they had on UFOs.
You know, it's a really sexy thing to talk about. And my dad is crazy into this shit, bro. He once made us all sit down in his living room and watch an episode of Ancient Aliens. Because we were making fun of him, dude. We were just like, okay, Dad, whatever. He's like, no, you got to watch it. And so we all sat down there and watched. But it's worth pointing out that at the moment, we don't have any tangible evidence of being visited by another unearthly species, right? Like we don't hold in our hands like a spaceship or even a fragment of one. All we have are like pictures of things and videos of things that we have a hard time explaining.
That's very false, Frank.
Okay, talk to me about it, because That's all I can think about.
Just because it's not public knowledge does not mean we don't have them. There's
see, that's what I'm talking about. Now you're just theorizing about it.
You think that they're going to why would the military put these things out to the general public if they want to keep that whole thing like secret?
Sounds like somebody who's trying to convince themselves.
What are you talking about, Frank? You're making some crazy claims here. There are thousands of UFO documents that have come out from multiple countries.
Right. But what I'm saying is we there's nothing that you, I, or Patrick know of that we put our hands on that we or anyone else has possession of. That is from.
Like you've never met God and you believe in him.
I've met Zach Kenzie, and that man is clearly from a different planet.
No, I mean, you would not know about. That's some shit that the government would keep so under wraps, man, because that changes everything.
Yeah, well, I think the
revelation.
I mean, maybe, right? Like maybe they're just like throwing us little nuggets of videos so that they can whet our appetite while they hold the stuff back. But I don't know, man. That seems a little far fetched to me. And also if we did, then how come we can't explain the things that we see on video?
What do you mean?
Well, then if we had that stuff, then wouldn't we know more than we're letting on?
Well, that'd be the idea. Yeah, deception is the best way to have any kind of operation, man. That's how you fight.
Because I think they tried to keep these videos under wraps for a while, and they couldn't. And now they're releasing this information. I'm not saying there's things that we can't explain, but I don't think, to the best of my knowledge, that there's actually tangible stuff that we have possession of in whatever secret government or military or whatever holding that we're not talking about. I could be proven wrong, but I don't.
There are tons of old news articles that depict crashes from early 1900s, even late 1800s, that depict crashes, and that there was organizations that showed up onto that site, cleared the debris. I mean, dude, there's so many reports of people that, like Bob Lazar, who worked at Area 51 and different places like that worked in these facilities, that are all reporting this data. I don't think they're all making that up. And then you have countries around the world releasing video footage and documents that prove that they are unidentified flying objects from no place on Earth that move in ways that could never be engineered here on Earth. And then you also see a big boost in our technology from the 50s on, from when there was a few suspected crashes in areas like Roswell and out in that desert out that way. And you see a huge boom in our technology from right after that. And that's because they had scientists in there trying to redesign these things, and they learned a lot of new technologies that we use in our military and everyday lives. Like there's very detailed things about this, man. I feel like you're just not looking into them. So you're
I hear you. And certainly I know that there's proof, right? There's things that we can see in documents and verified evidence. What I'm saying is, if you could also in every one of those instances raise a reasonable doubt about the fact that we don't know and we're just kind of guessing, right? Like we don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
So we're just kind of putting our best guess forward.
But wouldn't that be the idea of our human evolution, was to learn what this really could be, what this really is?
Yeah, for sure. I don't know. For me, I'm slightly unconvinced. Unconvinced.
But yet you're convinced in religion, though. That's what I don't understand. How could you believe that on very limited facts and information?
I'm not convinced on religion at all.
You're convinced on God.
I'm just convinced on the idea of God. It's a different thing.
But then why are you not convinced on the idea of aliens? What is the difference? There's more proof of aliens by far. Way more proof.
When these documents come out, will you believe them, or do you think it's just kind of going to be bullshit?
No. I don't think any of it's bullshit. And I don't think any of the evidence that's been brought forward is bullshit either. I believe these people and what they've said they've seen, and what I am saying is that because we don't know, then the idea of aliens or some otherworldly visitor is just an idea. And you can raise reasonable doubt as to the fact that, right, like the question about whatever they found off the coast of San Diego, this ridiculous Tic Tac shaped UFO that they found that moved in a way that we can't explain on video, right? Like they even said, if it's an earthly thing, it's something that we, the United States, don't know about.
That is what they would say. Yes, correct.
Right. And so that's what I'm saying.
They can't. Unless
if you
they're
can't
ready
prove
to
it,
come out and make a great revelation, you can't come out and say that, because that alters everything about everything, bro. That could like literally cause mass riots and chaos all over the world, if not like.
Okay, so I guess here's my point. Then if they do end up proving that, then you got me.
I'm not trying to get.
But until then, until you can raise a reasonable doubt, like what if it's China, or what if it's like freaking who knows? Like what if Australia is just like super dope at this, or Japan, and nobody's letting on? Like, you know, it could be anybody doing some crazy shit that we don't know about.
To play devil's advocate, Al, to your point, there's all these other countries reporting these UFOs. What if, like back in the 40s or 50s or whenever you said, what if there are certain UFOs crashing into other countries that aren't ours, and then they're taking that technology, and then they're way more advanced than us, and we just don't know it?
Sure, but like that technology,
I like that idea.
That technology was quickly integrated into like the world, all around the world. So that wasn't like just something that like the U.S. benefited from.
What technology?
You're saying we shared it? Why would we do that?
Basic inventions come from that new propulsion system.
That is super counterintuitive to what we would do as a country, especially if it was found like after World War II.
But once you develop those things, you have to release patents on a lot of them, like engines for spaceships and things like that, like
jet engines.
And for like going into space engines, like all that was designed by, I need to look up his name right now, founder of NASA, former Nazi. His name.
So you're saying the Nazis and the aliens are in cahoots?
Werner von Braun was a former Nazi scientist during World War II, and when we won as a part of Operation Paperclip, which was is not fully released to the public, but very documented in a lot of documents that have since been released since the Freedom of Information Act. But basically details that after World War II, when the Nazis surrendered, we granted pardons to many of their doctors and engineers in order for them to come over and work for us and help us with their technology to help us, excel. And Werner von Braun was one of these guys who came over and helped us, and is the founder of NASA, our space exploration organization. And they're using things that they learned from these crash sites and integrating them into technology, like with these engines and different propulsion systems. And that happens all around the world. Like that affects everybody. Those are released, at least with some detail, not full.
Okay, but hold on. So what you're saying is that they found technology at a crash site of a UFO, of an unidentified flying object, and they used that technology to go into space.
Correct.
And we've only barely just got as far as the moon.
Correct. That means, because I'm sure there's things about that technology. Bob Lazar talks about it. Look, he's on Rogan all the fucking time. Listen to what he says about it. He was put into the position to do that, to re-engineer things from these crashes and try to figure out how the hell they were using, I think it's like particle acceleration to like move and without like creating your own energy. Basically, that's what these crafts had. And he's sitting in rooms. He was inside the craft. Like, unless you think he's just full of shit, and like all the people like him that have come out are just full of shit, he gives like very detailed information in two really, really good and pretty long documentaries that are both on Amazon Prime. The first one's called Unacknowledged, and I can't remember what the second one's called. But check him out, dude. I really think you should look at him, because there's a lot of information, and his job was literally to sit there and try to re-engineer the science, and he couldn't.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'll take a look at it, but I'm just like following your storyline. I mean, we know how to propel into space. It's just a lot of oxygen and hydrogen.
Well, yeah, the people that came here are probably far more developed than us. Like, this is a huge universe, a huge galaxy. Like, this is ridiculous, bro. Like, the possibility for the existence of life somewhere else is very, very, very high for how big this bitch is. And there's no way to say that like those civilizations or whatever haven't been there for millions or billions of years. Like, think how much farther we'll be in a million years as a society if we don't kill each other. Like, our science will be much more developed. We'll be able to move quicker and do these things that now seem like ridiculous far away. look how far we've come in like 300 years, 400 years science wise, man. Like it's insane. So like just because we don't have these things that have been released to the public, like I think that's a really like I think that's a really interesting way to look at it, because I think there's a lot of proof out there, and I think like the possibility of there being other life elsewhere that could come and find us is very, very high. And like to think that we're like the most developed or smartest beings out there ever, and like there's nothing that could eclipse our science. I think that's not the way you should look at it, man.
Yeah, for sure. And there's sorry, Pat, go ahead.
I'm just gonna say, Al, I'm on your side. Like, I want there to be aliens. I think there's a high probability, but this is something I never really thought of that you made me think of. Is like you just said how huge the universe is. So, do you think that aliens from on the other side of the universe have some sort of technology? Like, how did they find us?
I mean,
if it's so big, how
Sure.
did they come across us?
I can't even begin to tell you how. My best guess would be off of radio waves, because we've put out radio waves since, last couple hundred years. And my best guess would be that, but bro, I can't even tell you what kind of science they have for mapping or any kind of thing, radar shit. I couldn't even tell you, bro, but I'm sure if they could find out a way to get here, they could find a way to find us.
I hear that, but I know you are a fan of ancient alien theories. And I know back in Egyptian time, we weren't sending out radio waves.
No, for sure. No. I mean, they could have just, like I said, they could have just found us through their devices of their own. I have no idea how to tell you how they found us, but I think that they did find us, if not put us here. A lot of people believe like pyramids that were all over the world, kind of running on the same axis, like were somehow ways to harness power from the earth in whatever that is. And they're thinking that maybe these were like even like charging stations for UFOs or like monuments for them. I don't have the detail. Like I'd have to look into that and research that, because I don't want to bring you concrete evidence. But that is like a popular theory about pyramids.
Work on that and get back to us.
Even that they powered their cities though. Like there's claims that ancient Egyptians had like what we would look at as today as like a form of electricity and light.
Well, you raised a point earlier about what we might look like in a million years, and there's a lot of prominent thinkers that don't even believe we're going to be here in the next 10,000, perhaps sooner if we don't start having some more babies.
Yeah, man, really, really very true. The new study came out today, and it found that births in the U.S. have dropped to its lowest rate since 1979. Isn't
that funny? Didn't we all say there's going to be a big old baby boom?
Yeah.
Because of COVID.
Yep.
Hilarious.
Did not happen. So yeah, U.S. women had a total of 3.61 million babies in 2020, which was down 4% from the year prior. And this is all based off like provisional data from the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. But the total fertility rate, which is like a snapshot of like the average number of babies a woman would have in her lifetime, that fell to 1.64. which is down another 4%. And that was the lowest rate on record since the government even began tracking that stat in the 1930s.
So there's less women having babies, and the women that are having babies are having less babies.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's sounds like population decline in a big way to me. And
yeah.
It makes sense, right? I don't know. Like you never hear about anybody having 7 kids anymore.
Thank God.
Well, it's not a necessity anymore either. We don't need to raise a brood in order to make sure that we all survive, and we don't need a family to work a farm. I mean, the necessity for kids is way less.
Sure. And they're saying one of the big factors, obvious factors, would be COVID. And they're saying that like women during these kind of things, women typically have fewer babies when the economy weakens. Like fears of them getting sick, of having to make medical appointments, and delivering a baby like in a hospital when there's disease and people all around. So they're saying that that's a big factor, and they've seen this both when the recession happened in the early, like the Great Depression, and in like 2007, the same data shows.
Interesting. My brother and sister purposefully decided to not try for a baby during COVID.
Yeah. That's a lot of people.
I guess I understand it, right? You don't want to be in there. I mean, there's the chance you got to be in there alone because whatever restrictions. I wouldn't want to go through that shit either.
Yeah, for a time, I don't think like the father could go to any appointments. It might even be that way still in some places. Like the father couldn't go to any of the initial exams. I don't even know if they could be there for the birth, but maybe for the birth. I guess maybe that'd be the one exception, I think. But yeah, they couldn't go to any of the other exams, which would be hard for like the mother, I would think.
Hell yeah.
I don't know what it means though, long term. Or like next year we just start having a bunch more babies because things are getting better. And maybe there's like a lag in the baby boom of COVID. And everyone's been waiting to have babies, and now that things are freeing up, now everyone's going to start popping them out.
Yeah, it could be. Could be a new boom.
I feel like if anything, once everything's opened back up, there's just gonna be a lot of baby daddies out there, just like a bunch of random babies. Everyone's gonna be partying.
Yeah, right. Now, with this said, with the drop accounted for, we still remain above many other developed countries that have like long struggled with low birth rates, like Japan, Italy, and Germany. So
yeah, Japan's a big problem. Big aging population in Japan.
I wonder why.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I don't know. Yeah.
So that article only really related it to like the economy. There didn't say anything about like sperm counts or anything like that.
Yeah, that's all they
Asking for a friend.
That's all they reference. But yeah, man, I wouldn't be surprised with all the shit we can put in our bodies these days. I'm sure some of that stuff's not good for us. Just with diets, and they've even linked like marijuana to sperm count. THC affects sperm count.
I did see something like that, Pat, about how we're not doing so hot in the sperm department. Us gents.
Something to do with like plastics or something like that, right? That's what I thought.
I don't know. I saw it in passing on Twitter, I think. Plastics would make sense. You guys ever see that movie? Gosh dang it. Now I'm going to blank on it. It's about DuPont in West Virginia.
Is that the oil DuPont?
No, they make plastics.
Maybe I'm thinking of like NASCAR or something.
I got to find it. Hold on. The movie was wild. Dark Waters. Yes.
Oh, I think I did see that.
Yes.
Yeah.
You guys
never
watched
even
that
heard of
movie?
it.
You never heard of it?
Never heard of it.
All right. So the premise is, and I got to say, it's a movie, right? So to whatever extent this stuff is true, I do not know, but it is based on a true story. And it was basically this lawyer had gone back home to West Virginia to, I don't know, take care of his mom or something. I forget what it was. But and anyway, he comes in contact with this farmer, and this farmer's like, listen, man, I don't know what is going on, but you're not going to believe your eyes when you see it. And he goes to this farmer's ranch, and all his cows have like big giant eyes, and they're all dying of cancer. And he's like, DuPont is upstream. I don't know what they're doing, but ever since so-and-so, my cows have been getting sick. So DuPont was making the compound C8, which I think is just like plastic. It's just like a very carbon strong material. Maybe they're making like, you know what it might be? Like the neoprene that you wear that goes on like on a North Face jacket. So they were making that up there, and I guess they weren't disposing of their waste correctly, and they were giving these cows cancer. The guy that owned the cows ended up getting cancer and dying from cancer. And at the end of the movie, it talks about how like this compound is in literally everything that we use everywhere all the time. And we know it gives us cancer. It's wild, dude. It's insane.
That's crazy.
So
that's probably a factor. Yeah, I could see that.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. I remember when I was a kid, sometimes like I would like chew on a little piece of plastic or whatever and swallow it. I'm like, whatever, it's fucking plastic. You know, like a little tag, just a little something, you know, like you're just chewing on it. You never swallowed plastic before?
I can't relate. Eating a lot of paper as a kid, never plastic.
I've never eaten paper. I've always thought that was disgusting.
That candy you could get that had like the fruit juice in it, and it was the wax.
Oh yeah, I just eat the wax.
I just eat I eat the whole thing.
When I was a kid, I used to eat sunflower seeds whole. I used to just
still
chew
do.
them in my mouth. Do you really?
I eat peanuts whole.
Oh, gross.
That's good too.
It's not good.
That's super good.
As it exits, it's not as fun, but
I would imagine.
as it goes in, it tastes better. I think it's a little saltier and like butterier.
Oh yeah,
But
and
That'd
it's
be
just
pretty-
easier. You don't have to crack them open.
yeah. I've learned though after many a baseball game that is not the move for me any longer.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah, a couple wouldn't hurt, but when you're like 25 deep,
It's many more than that, man. It's a slippery slope with those little salty bastards.
what do you call them again?
Peanuts.
Okay.
Is there another word?
Sometimes he likes to call them peanuts.
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 Funny how I say
Yeah,
donuts.
just
Do you say crayons or
Donuts?
crayons?
Crayons.
That's what I say too.
My stepbrother used to just call them crowns.
Crowns. That's what I called them for a long time.
Did you really?
Mhm,
Yeah, I
crowns.
used to call them crowns for the longest time.
It's just that kind of how they're spelled a little bit.
Huh. Yeah, it is. It kind of
Hey,
is.
so speaking of salty, I just saw this report today that said that sodium is now linked to detriments in your immunity, like not high blood pressure or, I mean, obviously those things too. It's still linked to. It's not great for the heart, but it's also now linked to a lowered immunity.
Weird. I wonder why.
I never thought about salt. I still don't. Like I salt my shit. I don't
Same.
look at sodium.
Yeah.
I
There's so
rarely
much
do.
of it in everything.
That's why I don't do it, because it's in everything already. So there's no need for me to like. I know it makes everything taste better, but
Way better.
Yeah. Way
The
better.
best. You ever had a bowl of legit ramen?
Yeah.
nope.
It's like a bowl where they dissolved a salt stick in it. And that's where it gets its flavor, from the salt. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I always just think of it
Yeah.
because I know
It's pretty good. I hate paying that much for soup sometimes.
It's the soup that eats like a meal, Al.
It does, bro. It does. I'd rather just go get like Chinese food or like Asian food if I want that though. Instead of having it in soup form. And I always feel like you're overpaying for actually the amount of food you get.
True. And it's not
but
good.
It is good.
It's not good for the running either. Well, it is good for the, excuse me, it is good for the running, but not like, it's good during running. You know what I'm saying? Because you're losing all the salt. So you pop salt,
Right.
and it helps you retain your like, it helps you not deteriorate as fast.
Sure. Yeah.
Speaking of deteriorating fast while running, Peloton just recalled every single one of their treadmills. Did you hear about this?
I did, man. Yeah. The CEO came out today with a big "we're sorry."
Yeah, but even before that, just like 2 weeks ago, he fired back at the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission because they said that they recommended that Peloton recall their treadmills. They were linked to one death and like 40 accidents, and there's been like a bunch of reports of children and pets being trapped or pulled underneath. And the CEO's response was, "It's the package is clearly marked that children shouldn't be playing around this item." I'm gonna share with you guys this video.
I thought I heard like the screen was falling off too or something and like landing on people.
This video gets a little bit disturbing. Everybody walks out fine, but for a while it's kind of scary. So you're seeing a little girl on this treadmill, and it's just going at a real small pace. And it looks like her brother is on the back of it with this big bouncy ball, and he puts his hands under there with the bouncy ball, and it looks like he's stuck.
Yeah.
And he's just staying there for a couple seconds.
So
His arms got to be getting burnt up.
Okay, so he gets out. Oh god, and then he gets pulled. Holy smokes!
No!
So he's getting sucked in. He's trying to avoid it. I don't know what he's holding on to, and now he's completely under
my
this treadmill
God.
as it's going.
Oh,
dude, this looks like some Paranormal Activity shit.
Yeah, he climbs up from under it and walks away relatively
buddy.
unharmed. But yeah, look at that! Isn't that crazy?
I mean,
and the CEO was like, "Oh, this is totally overblown. This video, like, come on."
I guess. I mean, it's messed up, but couldn't that happen to any treadmill?
Perhaps. Yeah, maybe.
Also,
I don't understand how that's any different than what would happen if you did that to any
right?
other
And
treadmill.
how many kids are hurt by treadmills like a year, right? Probably more than we think.
And what
Probably a lot.
putting it in their kids' playroom? Like, there, did you see all the toys?
All the toys are around
Like,
it. Yeah,
what?
they're in the kids, man. I don't know.
It's poor placement.
Oh, yeah. Are you going to try and fault a working parent for trying to get in shape, Al? You
no.
asshole.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
No, man. Yeah, obviously you don't put that right there, and you don't let your kids play on it. Like the little girl obviously was having a great time on it before her brother got stuck.
Yeah.
You ever used a treadmill, Pat, in your many travels to the gym? How many days a week you go to the gym?
6.
6 days a week?
On at 6 or 7 sometimes.
Are you like a morning savage? You get up first thing in the morning and go, or you go after work?
It's varied throughout my time, but now I'm at night. I've been at night for a while.
Yeah.
It's just easier. I've got a couple meals under my belt and a little bit more awake.
Dude, I feel the same way with running a big run. I hate doing it first thing in the morning after a day's work and I've already eaten. It helps. But
yeah,
nighttime gym is jackass hour, dude.
It for real is. Oh.
I don't know. Maybe do you have a problem getting in like all the machines that you want to get in?
My gym is massive. It's an old like department store.
Oh,
so no, but yeah, that is a huge pain when that happens.
Yeah, dude, my gym's small too, and I hate going after like 4:30.
Yeah.
There's nowhere to park, and it's just completely packed.
4:30 to 7 is definitely prime time.
Prime time jackass hour, absolutely. A lot of people that just go in there to look at themselves in the mirror.
That's a fact.
For the audience and maybe people that aren't watching on YouTube,
Pat is fucking jacked.
But no, he and for those that might not know Pat, he is he's a what do you say a working out enthusiast, exercise fanatic? Like how would you put it?
Enthusiast is a good way to put it.
Okay. I myself, I feel the exact same way, bro. I feel like in a way you've inspired me very much so. So thank you. But I'm kind of interested. I'd like you to kind of break down your regimen a little bit and kind of tell us about like how what's your diet look like on it? You said you work out 6 times a week. What's your diet look like during the time? Are you taking like any kind of like medicine, any like supplements, vitamins?
Don't hold back. If you're better than us, I want you to let us know.
I'm not. I think Elle's got me on the diet these days, but well, it varies throughout the year, depending on what time of year it is, depending on what I'm trying to achieve at the moment. But I'll just tell you what I'm doing right now. Right now, I'm like, I don't really eat much at all right now. I eat like 2 big meals a day, and that's pretty much it. I usually won't eat my first meal till around 3 p.m. And I'll stop eating by 10 p.m. the night before.
So you're kind of usually like a fast schedule?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'll fast. It's hard at first to go that long. Your stomach really hurts unless you're like, that's why I chug water. Just chug as much water as you can. You'll be all right after the first couple days, but it's a tough transition if you're used to eating breakfast or like waking up and eating shortly after.
Or eating at all hours of the day.
Right. It's pretty tough at first to be awake for like 8 or 9 hours and not eat anything. But
I've been lucky. I've never been one to like get hungry in the morning. So like I've kind of been intermittent fasting the last few years, but like I stop eating at like 10 p.m. and then I just don't eat until like 3 late the next day. And that gives me like a good, 14-hour, 15-hour fast or whatever.
Don't you find that it helps control your hunger too?
For sure. Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. And it's like, if I'm not eating my first thing till like 3, it's like really, I only eat like 1 meal a day. Usually my first thing at like 2:30, 3 o'clock would be like a protein smoothie. Which still, like, I put a lot of shit into it. It'd be like 1,000 calories. But I'll do that, and then I'll eat dinner at like 6:37, and it's usually like I try to keep that around like 1,000 too. I'm not like counting macros or anything like that, but I just try to stay like cognizant of it and like do a lot of like salmon, couscous, quinoa, rice, vegetables. I like I had to switch my diet like back in last November. I went to the doctor and they're pretty much just like, yeah, you're fat, man. You got you're pretty you're overweight. BMI is not looking good, and your fat level and your blood's high, and you need to fix that. Or
You got fat blood. He told you have fat blood.
yeah, that's like how you die from like a heart attack and shit, bro. Like
Oh,
That
that's
no
shit's
way.
moving slow.
that's heart disease, basically, bro. Those
Gravy train.
fat molecules build up in your arteries and that's clogging your arteries. That's what that is.
I did not know that.
Really?
They should call it fat blood more often. I think people would take it more seriously.
Definitely would.
So I just had he had me like start cutting out red meat like altogether, because that's really high in saturated fat. A lot of like dairy, like cheese. I never really drank milk ever. I've been on almond milk for a minute, but that's kind of what I do. And then like yeah, I stick to like fish, quinoa, rice, all that kind of thing. What about you? What's your diet like look like?
Similar-ish to you. I don't hold back on the red meat though. I probably eat red meat like 3-4 times a week.
Yeah, I miss it.
Well, dude, I mean, I'm not a doctor. I'd listen to your doctor, but I think if you're eating low, like I eat the meat I eat is like 96% like fat free or whatever. It's like 96.4.
Right.
So I think if you're eating that, I don't know. You were probably eating red meat with bread and
Like
a bunch of other BS.
cheeseburgers and shit. Yeah, double cheeseburgers with bacon, like shit like that. Like that's terrible, bro. And like eating a lot of Italian beefs here in Chicago for sure. I love Philly. Like that's my weakness when it came to sandwiches. That's the best sandwich ever in my opinion, chicken or beef. But, so I just ate way too much of it, man. And I'm still what I aim for, like what is like 20 grams of saturated fat a day, but that shit adds up quick. And honestly, dude, since I've switched, that's the best I've felt in my whole life. Like diet wise, eating wise. So it's like, I'll still eat red meat from time to time, but not having it be like a constant part of my diet has been a big change. Like I felt a huge change for sure.
Yeah, I mean, do whatever feels right for you. That's the thing. Everybody's different.
Donuts feel right for me.
So how did you get into lifting, dude? Like what made you, because I've known you my whole life, man. Like when we became friends, you were your body type was much different than it is now.
I started going reluctantly. I didn't even want to go.
Really?
My girlfriend at the time, now wife, she was into it. She wanted me to go with her. So I was like, all right, well, whatever. I just like followed her around. She was like stronger than me at the time. At least we were like lifting the same weight. And I was just like, that kind of sucks. But
you're competitive to let that happen. So that's how it started. Okay, I get it.
But no, I went for like a couple weeks and just was like going through the motions. And I was like, if I'm here, I might as well try. I might as well do it. And then I don't know, man. It's changed. Like I can't say enough about it. It's like changed my life. I love it. I love the process. I love everything about it. I'm glad it's the best thing I ever did.
Wow.
For me personally.
It's the best addiction I've ever had. I could definitely.
Yeah. It's just once it becomes a. That's the thing though. Like I don't have a crate. Like I still eat pretty much whatever I want, but
bro, I'm with you.
Within moderation, everything within moderation, you can do it.
I don't
obviously like. Go ahead.
My metabolism just isn't that way, bro. If I can eat shitty for a few days and then I'm just like I'll gain weight like crazy. My body's weird. I gain and lose really easily. So it's like if I keep it as a consistent part of my diet, I just like continue to balloon slowly but surely.
Yeah,
that could be a control.
Yeah, I mean
too, because I like
totally. It is. I was just gonna say, it's like, are you doing that in moderation though? Like, if you eat that way, are you just going ham, or are you having like a little bit of it and then backing off?
No, see, like, so it's probably more a control thing because, like, when I eat that shit, like, it tastes good and, like, the carnivore in me comes out. So, like, I want to keep eating that shitty food, that sweets, that red meat, like that. that's what it like triggers in me. So it's like if I just don't do that and I work out, I feel healthy that day. It encourages me to keep eating healthy. And then like I've lost like 50 pounds doing that. So it's like I'm seeing results. So it's like, yes, I don't enjoy. I still like I eat great fucking food. I have a like I wouldn't say like my meals like I miss red meat, but like I don't think that like my life is worse because I don't have it. Like as far as what I eat, like I still eat good shit. I'm a relatively good chef. Like I can, I've it's made me learn how to cook salmon, turkey, and chicken like a motherfucker.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely not necessary.
Yeah,
As
but
long as you're making other good stuff you like.
yeah, I think it just like triggers me to like be a carnivore and just go crazy. I can't.
See that when the meat doesn't really do that to me, but like sugar, if I can get on a sugar kick for like a week where I just feel like I need a dessert like every day, and it's
Yeah,
like I have to fight myself to be like, no,
100%.
don't do that. But
For
like
me,
if you go a week,
moderation.
go
For
ahead.
me, moderation's like 3 or 4 times a week.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Donuts.
but like if you go, for me, if I go a week without like the sugary snacks, I'm not craving them.
same.
Mm. Yeah, that's I think that I find that to be true too myself. When recently my diet has not been great, but previously when I've really like taken care of it and watched it, the first couple weeks were really the hardest part. And then once you get in the groove, you start to like what you like, and then one day you relapse and it all comes crashing to the ground. But and for me, like personally, I'm always on the road. And so like if I don't pack my lunch that day, I'm eating somewhere. And it's not
Yeah,
terribly difficult to eat clean out, but sometimes it's just like easier to just go get 2 tacos from Jack in the Box and call it a day.
Right.
And it's like the worst thing
for
you can put in
sure.
your body.
It's all,
Yeah. Um, yeah, I know for me, once I start eating bad, it's tough to stop. So it's like the more consistent you are, the easier it is to stay on
Yeah,
track
and
for
I'll
sure.
justify it by saying like, "Oh, I'll just go on a longer run today or whatever, or I'll work out extra hard or whatever." You can't obviously can't outwork a bad diet.
Yeah,
So
I was gonna say
just
that's such a cliche, but you
it's
definitely
no
cannot
fuck no.
outwork a
You
bad
can't.
diet.
Absolutely not. There's no way.
now your thing. You're big into running, right, Frank?
Yeah, I mean, I am. You know, it was funny. I was thinking about this today because I was thinking about posting my run today because it was just like a 3 mile run and it was like 9 minute 30-second pace. It was really slow and short, and those are most of my runs if I'm not training for something.
Mm-hmm.
I don't run a ton of extra miles when I don't need to. And lately, I'm like getting sick of it.
Really?
But yeah, it comes in waves. It's fun when you're training because you see yourself progress. You see yourself get faster. You can run 8 miles at an 8 minute 30 clip and feel great afterwards. You know, not feel like you're beat up. It just takes a while to ramp up to that point. So
Yeah. See,
I'll
I
be
can.
running a marathon in late October this year. So I'll
Nice.
start to start training soon.
Yeah. Hell yeah. I could never get into it, bro. Like the longest I ran was like 8K, which is like 5 miles, and it was fun. Like the thing I've always liked is just like a cool thing to do. Like with Sarah, it's like a fun. You just do it together. It's a
Yeah.
fun couple thing. You run the race. It's a great time. But I could just never. I even doing that, and that was awesome as a part of it. But like I never like enjoyed the running part of it. And like I
Yeah.
always hear about this runner's high. It's like I've tried it like on and off for like 5 to 8 years. I don't whatever. And I've never been able to find that. And like so many people like Sarah loves she runs marathons, half marathons all the time. Like she loves that stuff. And I've just never been able to get to that like level. Like do you remember like when that happened for
It
you?
took me a while, man. It took me a
Yeah.
long time. I had trained for a half marathon in 2015 and like cramped up at like mile 9 and it was brutal and I didn't enjoy any of the training process. I just did it to say I could do it.
Right.
And I don't think it was until I started like counting my calories because I was going to the gym pretty regularly. This is probably like 3 years ago. And somebody told me like, "Oh, you just got to eat less calories than you take in and you'll like slim down your fat if you're working out a bunch." So I was like, "All right." So I started like tracking my food and seeing what my workouts did to my calories. And then I would notice on the days that I decided to go for a short run, like it would boost my calorie output. And
Mm-hmm.
so I just started getting into that habit of wanting to do it so that I could like stay under my count. And Yeah, I can kind of remember is I was living in downtown San Diego, so I had like this route that went along the Embarcadero, and it was just great, man. Like it was a great like ringing out of your brain. For me, running became way more of a mental thing than a physical thing. The physical part of running, you'll get it in like a month. If you continually go and run, you'll build whatever lung capacity you need. Your legs can take you farther than you think when you're tired. It's way more about like if you can get on a tangent in your head and like get that running, that's what the runner's high is. It's almost like you're dreaming while you're awake.
Okay. Is
And
that
you,
because you're like zoned into like music or podcast or like
yeah,
whatever?
for sure. But
Yeah.
it's like when you're running, if you're running like 8 miles, you're gonna know that you're gonna be out there for like at least an hour and a half. So you kind of just be like, all right, regardless of the time it's going to take me, I'm just going to go run and get this done. It's going to take me a while, but whatever. I'm just going to go through it.
Mhm.
And for me, the first like mile and a half is always hard. And then once I get into like the 2 to like 6 mile mark is when you don't notice anything. There's like a real bad habit for me to like look down at the ground and I'm just thinking. There's just thoughts. I'm working through whatever I have in my mind, and
Yeah.
it's just like, pff. And then what really sucks is when I come out of that trance. And if you're a runner, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You come out of it, and then you'll realize you're running, and you're like, fuck, I'm running. And then you're like, God, I'm like an hour and 20 minutes into this thing. I'm so ready for this to be over. And
Yeah.
then it becomes like a power of will thing where you're just willing your body to move until the finish. And that the whole combination of those things, that's what gets people addicted to running.
Hmm. Yeah, I think I want to like try to incorporate it like at the end of my workout. And like just run like a half mile or a mile just to like close it up. Or maybe I should do it at the beginning. I don't
Do you
know.
do any cardio, Pat?
Um, not like not during the winter, but like I'll do it during the summer to try to stay lean.
Yeah.
I ran last year, and I can relate to what you said. Like I never ran any more than like 3.5 miles, but what you're saying, like I enjoyed the mental aspect of it probably more than the physical. I hated running. I'm not gonna lie, like it sucks,
It blows, man.
but yeah, getting into like that frame of mind where you're kind of just not really focused on what you're doing. Your legs are just like you're just moving without even thinking at all because you're so in your head or so into whatever you're listening to. And then like yeah, like you pop out of it and you're like, oh, I got a half a mile left. Like this sucks, but like you I love that's what I love about cardio is that your body is screaming to stop this. Like, why are we doing this? This hurts. Like, why? But your brain is just you can tell yourself like you're capable of doing this. You're just being a bitch
Matt, there it
and
is.
you want to give up. But like you can. You're not gonna die. You might be sore, you might
Yeah.
hurt a little bit. So that's I like that.
Yeah, it's not as bad as being a bitch though.
Exactly.
And you, yeah, I mean, like it's, it's like the ultimate solo thing, right? Like playing
Mm-hmm.
golf or whatever. It's not, it's just you. It's just you in the course, just you in the track, wherever you're running. And if you give
Yeah.
up or you stop or whatever, that's, it's on you. You can
Right.
blame the weather. It might have been a hot day. You might have misprepared, but it's all on your shoulders.
That's where I see like
Yeah.
big main difference between cardio and lifting for me though, is because like I'll be in my zone, listening to my music or whatever. Sometimes not even listening to music, just lifting and got that high off the pre-workout or whatever. But I'll be lifting and like you said, you like would stop running and you're like, or stop zoning in when you're running. And you're like, fuck, I'm running. I'm lifting and I don't feel that. Like I'm lift. It's always good. I'm some days pushing myself harder than others. Some days I'm like going for as hard as I can. Some days I'm going for high reps of low weight. But like I'm always like, fuck yeah, I like this. This feels good with whatever motion I'm doing. Like I like that feeling, that pump that you get like when you're doing that. And it's never like, fuck, I can't breathe right now. Or like for me, what fucks me up with running is not so much breathing. It's my ankle on my left leg is like all messed up from lacrosse and football. So it's like me, like once I get to mile 3 into 5, it's like my body like feels like it's like breaking down right there. And like then my mind like concentrates on that. And even though I probably could keep going, keep pushing, it's just like, fuck this. Like I don't know. I just get like pissed off.
Yeah, I'm gonna clip that and the title is going to be Alex Enjoys the Pump.
There's
Definitely.
no better feeling in the world.
Yeah, man. I don't know. It's great, bro. It's what I envision runner's high is, I guess. But I just feel that like from the second I step into that bitch to the second I leave, it's just like fuck yeah.
Yeah, and there's way more. I think there's like way more of a testosterone boost when you're lifting heavy shit than when you're running. So I'm sure that has a lot to do with it too. You just feel like fulfilled in
It's
your
more like
beast.
it's more instant gratification.
There's that too, right? Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And then like with weightlifting, it's either you got it or you don't. Like if you're doing a PR, you're just like, well, either I have it or I don't.
Right.
Yeah. You don't need an hour and 20 minutes to test yourself.
Yep.
But you still got that I'm not a bitch mentality all the way though. At least
Unless
like,
you don't hit it. And then
yeah. Well, yeah.
of course you are a bitch.
And you're a bitch, yeah.
So
The only problem with fighting that inner bitch when you're lifting is that opposed to running is that you could get injured.
very
Like,
easily.
Way more seriously than if you're running.
Yeah,
if
you
you're
could
running,
fuck your shit up forever.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's like my biggest fear.
What is like your typical? Well, first of all, do you like take any like supplements as far as like pre-workout, any vitamins, anything like that?
It's for the longest time, for like a couple of years, I stopped taking any supplements whatsoever because I wanted to just be like, this is me and the food I eat, and that's it. I didn't want any advantage or whatever. I just wanted to say that this was 100% me and nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
And then a couple months ago, I was just like, fuck that, dude. Like, you might as well get the most out of it. And in the winter, I'll drink protein drinks, and I came back to creatine this past winter. And then I'm still on a pre-workout. I'll still take a pre-workout every day.
Which one are you using?
It's called Bucked Up.
Get you bucked up.
Oh yeah.
And then like, what does your typical like weightlifting routine look like? Like, are you doing a little bit of everything every day, or do you break it down more?
Right now I'm just doing one muscle per day.
Okay.
And I know it's hard to just explain, because like what I'm doing now is different from what I was doing 3 months ago, just because now I'm kind of in the zone of trying to get lean, trying to thin out for the summer, and like I'm losing weight, so I'm not able to lift as heavy as I was. And that's a real bummer, I'm going to be honest with you. But so like now lately, I've just been trying to do supersets, which if anyone doesn't know what that is, like like today, for instance, I was doing chest. So with dumbbells, I was doing chest press, and then I'd drop those and I'd pick up another set of dumbbells and I'd do flies.
Yep.
So I'm just trying to get a good pump, trying to burn some extra calories. I'm not really worried about hitting high weight. I'm not even attempting to do like what I did before. I'm trying to stick around it so I don't lose it so much. But
yeah, you still get that burn though. Like, I feel like I still get a pump when I'm doing like those high reps though, like with that lower weight though. Like, I still get a burn for sure, because you just like keep going. Like, it's not different, I guess, than like when you're really trying to like push weight, but you're still feeling it, like in a different way.
100%.
Yeah, I'm similar. I break it down to like a muscle a day, and I'll do like 4 different exercises, and then for each of those, it's like 4 sets of like 12 to 15 reps, and like I'll go back and forth like every week on if I go like heavy or I'm going for like higher reps kind of thing. I kind of try to like rotate it, and I have like maybe like 5 to 7 or like exercises per muscle, so I'm not always doing like the same bicep curl, like the same bicep workout every week. Like, I feel like you gotta like rotate it to some degree every week to like keep that muscle working a little bit better or different in a different way.
That is exactly what I do. So literally,
I must be on the right track. I'm onto something then. I don't look as shredded as you, but I'll get there.
Well, we can wrap this up, and you guys can talk solo in here if you'd like. Take your shirts off and rub each other with oil.
I appreciate you coming on, Pat.
Pat, this is awesome.
Appreciate the friendship.
You're welcome back anytime, my friend. That was a lot of fun. As always, if you guys have any comments, questions, concerns from anything we said, and any crazy statement that Patrick made, if he offended you in some way, we're so sorry. But write us an email, bummerdude.media@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. And until the next thrilling episode of Friendship News Hour.
Peace.
Bye-bye.